welcome to the show Dreams, Passion and Your Hong Kong Story. Every time on this show, we bring before you people from different walks of life who have pursued their passion and found great success in Hong Kong. Today we have with us a very dynamic woman entrepreneur, someone who's a source of inspiration for many around the world. Let's meet Norma Chu of 𝐸𝐸. Norma is the founder and CEO of 𝐸𝐸, which is one of the largest bilingual cooking recipe website in Hong Kong, and it is the largest cooking media brand in China. But what started as a side passion soon became a flourishing business for Norma, and in 2015 she decided to scale it to China. Today, 𝐸𝐸 has over 50 million social media followers and over 9 billion views. Let's talk to Norma and find out more about 𝐸𝐸 and its initiatives. But before I start asking you about your professional and your personal journey, my first question to you as a woman is, how do you manage to do this all, have such an amazing business and manage your personal life, stay so beautiful, so fit? How do you do it all? Tell our audience your secret mantra of your energy.
Oh my God. No, thanks for that introduction. I mean, it was very comprehensive. Thank you very much. I don't know. I don't think there's any secret, right? But the only thing, I guess, maintaining a more positive mental state is very important, because like I think running a business or starting a business, there's actually tremendous amount of stress and responsibilities. One thing that I've learned or kind of discovered for myself for the past 8 years is really just always carry a very optimistic view on life in general, and kind of always have to maintain that positivity.
So you were a seasoned corporate professional at a very senior level. When did you decide to become an entrepreneur, and what motivated you to start 𝐸𝐸 into a business from a side passion?
Well, I was at the time I was 30 years old. So the idea was, I wanted to create something that can influence the next generation of millennials, or in the future maybe Gen Z, Gen A, to kind of, still enjoy cooking and view it as part of a quality lifestyle. At the time I was at banking, and I love the stock market. So when I was young, I really enjoyed the stock market and the cooking shows. So I was doing both things that I really enjoyed. But what really made me decide to quit banking and go into entrepreneurship is really, I had to decide whether I want to continue down that career path or take, a wild ride, right, so to speak. I guess what made me make that decision was to project my life like 2 years from that moment, because I think a lot of my friends, tell me like, oh, I always have an idea and I also want to do something, but how do you, take that first jump or take that first step? I always tell them, like, don't make decisions, or especially huge life decisions, based on what you know now. Kind of like project your life 2 years down the road. What would it be if you continue to do what you're doing now? Okay, in banking, I know kind of how my career will progress, and then if I were to go down the startup route, it's kind of like a yes, success or failure option, right? If success, then I keep going. If it's failure, fine, then I'll go back to banking. And if you think of it that way, then it's not so scary. Yeah. So that's when I'm like, I'm gonna go for it, and that's when I started 𝐸𝐸.
And when you went into 𝐸𝐸 thinking like, it'll be a passion, what actually kept you going to kind of really make the business become big?
Well, still very small right now. We're still trying to make it bigger. I think it's really thinking about, how we can influence more people, and how we can change their lives or be a part of their lives. And in the beginning, when we started out with creating content, of course, it's more, just based on a lot of numbers, right? How many people watch your videos and how many people follow you and so forth. And those numbers are very, very encouraging. But from that point on, the next step was like, okay, now we have, millions of people watching our content. And then we also have offline experience center, where, you know, we think that a lot of the millennials, females, maybe they don't have time to cook at home. They can come to the store and kind of hang out and take a cooking class or two. So I think every step of the way, we really think about, you know, who are we influencing and how do we make their lives better.
When you started this as your passion, did it come from a long time back? Like, did you like cooking as a kid growing up? Like, how did this whole idea came to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I really loved to cook, like when I was young. So, you know, born and raised in Hong Kong, but then we moved to Seattle when I was 12. So at that time, I spent a lot of time at home with my parents, and both of my parents enjoyed cooking. So I would, you know, spend a lot of time in the kitchen with them. And for me, it's like a time to bond with your family. And it's always so satisfying that you cook something and everybody gathers around, you know, and enjoy the dishes. So I think that, for me, has been a huge part of my childhood growing up. And I kind of want that for everybody, you know? I mean, now I know everybody's busy and there's so much convenience around us, but I think cooking is part of culture that should be preserved. I think that's one of the fundamental ideals that I have. Yeah, but then, you know, making that from a passion to a business, I mean, moving back to Hong Kong in my mid-20s, I just realized a lot of my girlfriends around me, they didn't know how to cook. They either think that it's, you know, cumbersome, or, you know, it takes too much time, or they don't have to because they may have their parents or, you know, maids to cook at home. But, you know, I thought cooking is not just about, you know, feeding yourself. Sometimes it's really like, you know, as maybe a passion. You know? So I kind of wanted to encourage them to pick it up as a hobby. But at the time, you know, a lot of content were very long and traditional. So I'm like, okay, if I want to encourage young people to enjoy cooking again, I've got to create content that tailored to their need. So it's got to be fast, easy, and it's got to be visually attractive. So those are
a very good three dimensions to keep in mind.
Yeah, so are the three pillars of, you know, how we create content for consumers.
How is Hong Kong relevant to start up your business?
Well, I think Hong Kong is relevant for us because, you know, this is where, this is like my home, where we grew up. But then at the same time, I think Hong Kong is it's relatively easy to start a business here. So it's a great testing ground for a lot of ideas. Because, I mean, it's pros and cons, right? It's a relatively smaller population, so you can try a lot of things, you know, relatively quickly. But then that's the first stage. But once you have like a product market fit that you figured out, I think it's also very conveniently located either to the north, to mainland market, or to the south, to a lot of Southeast Asian markets as well. I think that is, you know, definitely a big plus for Hong Kong. And for us at the time, we decided, you know, after 3 years in this market, and we were definitely the #1 cooking site here, we wanted to expand into a bigger market and establish a footprint. You know, a lot of investors at that time told me, you know, maybe you should go overseas to the US or Europe because there are tons of overseas Chinese, right? But then, you know, going back to think about why did I start Day Day Cook, it was really to encourage the next generation to enjoy cooking. And back in 2015, I think in the mainland, no one was doing cooking and lifestyle content.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm like, I should go there because I can influence a lot more people there. That's when we took the plunge and, you know, set up an office in Shanghai.
Wonderful. So when you moved to China, was your Hong Kong connect in any way beneficial for you back in China?
Well, I think like language-wise for us it's definitely easier, right? That's one advantage. Besides that, I think Hong Kong being a more international and metropolitan city, for us, you know, we are in the lifestyle business, right?
Yeah.
It definitely has this advantage. So no matter like either way from designing content or the way content was made back then, now all the way down to, you know, when we design courses at the physical store, we still kind of maintain that layer of like international touch in our classes and content. I think that continue to differentiate ourselves from some of the local players.
Very nice. The next question is, you know, I understand, you know, your business is growing, doing very well. The way in which you shaped your passion into a successful business is something, of course, to be absolutely proud about. But every business comes with a set of challenges. I'm sure you must have had one. Can you share with the audience some of the challenges that you faced in the start of your business and which you continue to face as you grow your business and as you scale it?
Oh, there are so many different challenges. Like, I mean, there's challenges in like managing the team, and there's challenges in just, you know, scaling up in itself has tons of challenges. But I think for us, which is kind of unique to our vertical, I guess, because we are fundamentally a content-driven business, because content is like the foundation of how we build the brand and how we sell product. That continuously is like one of the biggest challenge for us is how do we continue to innovate and kind of disrupt our own way of creating content so we can keep up with the next generation of viewers.
I see.
Right? Because we're like 8 years ago when we started, our viewers at the time, they may be in their mid-20s or late 20s, but now 8 years has gone by and now they could be moms, right? So we have to continue to create content to service that group of audience. But at the same time, we also want to create new content that can attract the next wave of consumer, which now they are in their 20s. And I think every generation, like, I am a typical millennial, I think, barely, because I was born in 1981. But now, you know, millennials and Gen Z definitely have a huge differentiation in behaviors. For example, we have like attention span of like 7 to 8 minutes, I think. Now Gen Z, I think typically it's like 2 to 3 minutes,
yes.
right? It's like cut in half.
Yes.
So back then when we were creating short form content, we're talking about 3-minute clips, right?
Yes.
Now it's like 15 seconds to 30 seconds. I mean, that's just one example. And then that's just the content format itself, but then distribution also changes because the entire market landscape continues to evolve on a yearly basis. So I think that fundamentally is like the biggest challenge for the entire company.
And how are you managing to kind of overcome those challenges? Have you put some systems in place? So like,
well, I think like one of the biggest challenge was, okay, I should take a step back. Because I was heavily involved in content creation in the beginning. Like I was the show host, I was like writing the recipes, creating content. But I think, you know, times has changed, and then sometimes maybe I don't know the Gen Z behavior as much as the real Gen Z themselves, right? So I think it was 18 months ago, a little bit, almost 2 years ago, I decided to put in the head of content. And, you know, he's a definite true Gen Z. So he would drive, you know, a lot of the content decision making. I think that's important.
yeah, that's really important.
Because like sometimes as a CEO or founder, you have to kind of learn to where to let go and step back and kind of put, you know, more appropriate or effective personnel in the right role. I think that's what we did.
Yeah, it's very nice to know. Definitely something which a lot of the entrepreneurs would love to know. Like, okay, now take yourself back in time. What is the one advice you would like to give to a young 25-year-old Norma looking to build a successful career?
Oh my God! Don't do it! No, I'm kidding. Let me see. I actually don't have I don't think I have any regrets, you know? Okay, maybe one. Okay, so my favorite, it's really cheesy, but my favorite, line is, you know, do your best, forget the rest. I say that all the time because one of my serial entrepreneur friend, he once told me when I first started Daily Cook, he's like, Norma, don't overthink it. You know, everybody thinks they have a great idea, but it doesn't matter. Just try it out and give all of your energy to try to make it work. Yeah. And if it doesn't, so what? Try something else. So I think that's a really great reminder for myself. But if I were to tell my 25-year-old self what to do, I think I would say this. Really believe in yourself and just listen to your instinct at all times.
Listen to your instinct at all times.
At all
That's
times.
amazing. That's a very good point to remember.
Yeah, because like along this road, you get like these ups and downs, and then during the downs, you start to question yourself, right? We all have these so-called self-doubt moments.
Yes.
But then you have to like remind yourself, I'm here today because of all the decisions I've made in the past, and it's pretty good so far, right? So I should continue to believe in myself. I think that's important, and sometimes you lose that.
Yeah. Now the rapid fire question round, and that is getting to know Norma's Hong Kong story in a bit more fun way.
Okay.
So question number 1. Your favorite way to have fun with friends and family in Hong Kong?
Eat and drink.
Okay. Your favorite casual dining place in Hong Kong?
Casual dining place, 茶餐廳.
What kind of cuisine do they serve?
Oh my gosh, 茶餐廳 is like one of those, really, really local cafes where they serve like spam and egg noodles, stuff like that. Those are my
This is
favorite.
for our global audience.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Those are my favorite.
And what is your favorite formal dining cuisine in Hong Kong?
Japanese food, hands down.
Okay, perfect. On a romantic date, I'm giving you the following 3 choices, but you can add if this doesn't fall in one of those. Go on a beachside restaurant in Stanley or Repulse Bay. Go on a fine dining place in Central. Stroll at Llama Island and enjoy local shack food. Or go hiking up in the Hong Kong mountains.
Okay, so this is a romantic date option, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think I would choose the last one.
Hiking?
Yeah, hiking. Yeah.
You love to hike?
I love to be outdoors and just like be away from, buildings and cars and people in general. And I think my husband and I enjoy that like peacefulness together. Yeah, so I think I would choose that. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in next 10 years?
Well, next 10 years. Next 10 years, I think there's still so much that we have to do and we can do in Daily Cook. So we have to build a better brand, launch a lot more products. But at the same time, for myself, I think the next thing could be motherhood, hopefully.
Oh, well, that would be amazing. We'll wish you good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming to the show, and we wish you good luck in all your future endeavors.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Stay tuned for our next episode on dreams, passion, and your Hong Kong story, where we bring you yet another story from the fascinating land, Hong Kong.